Good morning, everyone that's joined us so far. We're just going to give it another minute just to see if we've got any stragglers. We'll be with you momentarily. Okay, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the latest Insight webinar, our induction to building a model-driven Power App. This is a recorded session, so quick bit of housekeeping. You'll be receiving a link through to the recording after this, and also a portal through to the content that you're about to see that one of my colleagues is going to present to you. This session is split into two, actually. So just to introduce my colleagues before we kick on to the content. So my name's Steve Clark, and I've met a lot of the registrants today. I'm the business development lead here at QGate. We also have my colleague Jonathan Small, who's project manager and e-learning consultant. Also Oliver Wollaston, who's our technical services team leader. So yeah, we're going to split the session into two this morning. Still only half an hour long max. The first part is going to be creating the app itself, and then the organising of the app navigation. Halfway through, we will touch on the Q&A as well. So it does appear that Teams, since the last time we did this, has updated a little bit, and Q&A, the Q&A function doesn't seem to be present at the top, but we do have a chat. So if anyone does have any questions, pop it into the chat. If there's anything that we can't answer immediately during the session, then we'll get back to it. We do have our my colleague from our marketing department, Yasmin Cooper, who'll be noting down any questions that we might need to take away. So on that note, I will pass across to my colleague, Jonathan Small, to kick us off.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Steve. So what we're going to be looking at today, as Steve said, is building a model-driven app, the basics of. We're going to be watching a couple of short videos which are built using our ClickLearn software. And anyone who knows me knows how much I love to chat about ClickLearn. It is basically a one-stop shop for creating lots of content to do with your system, and an easy way of documenting processes and creating videos, creating portals, creating downloadable documents. So what we're going to look at today is some of the video content that we can create around these model-driven apps, and hopefully you'll enjoy what you see. So we're getting on to the first part, and this is creating a basic model-driven app. Okay. Oh. Okay, so if we just start up the video here.
Jonathan, apologies for interrupting. I'm not sure if we're getting any audio on that, if we're due to be hearing anything.
Okay,
but yeah, if you might
apologies.
Want to reshare.
Yeah, didn't. Apologies about that. Let me just reshare it. Best laid plans.
Always the way, not a problem.
Right, let's try that again. It's coming through loud and clear on mine. Okay, let's try that again.
Create the app. Easily develop mobile and web apps for any business need, even if you have no technical or development experience, with Power Apps. Open a solution. Model-driven apps start with your data model, building up from the shape of your core business. When you create a model-driven app, you can use all the power of the Dataverse to rapidly configure your forms, business rules, and process flows. You create a model-driven app from the Power Apps site. Log into Power Apps. You will be taken to your home page. Ensure you are accessing the correct environment by clicking on Environment in the top right of the window. Select the correct environment from the list. This would usually be a dev environment. Next, click on Solutions. You could create a new solution, or select a solution to work within. Creating the app. To create your new model-driven app, click on New. Next, click on App. Then select Model-driven app from the list. A window will open asking for some basic information. Start by adding a name for your new app. Below this is the description field. Enter any additional information here. You will notice that there is an advanced button. By ticking the box, you can access pre-built components from other custom solutions. This can be a useful shortcut when building new apps. This can be accessed by selecting the solution from the drop-down list. For this example, we will not be using this function. Click on Create. Create a new page. To create a new page, click on the button Add Page. In the window that opens, select Dataverse Table. Then click on Next. You can now begin to add data tables to your app. In this example, we are adding the account and contact tables. We can also add the email and task tables. Add any other tables you wish to use. Ensure Show in Navigation is ticked. Then click on Add. Add to the app. Add additional pages. You can add additional tables to the app by clicking on Add Page. Then select Dataverse Table. Select Next. Choose the required table from the list. Then click on Add. Amend names. Once you select a table, you can click on it and see related information in the pane on the right of the screen. You can change certain information relating to the table. You can change the title by clicking on the title field. Then enter a new title. Add or limit forms. The information held in a table can be viewed through different forms for different purposes. You may wish to add new forms or limit the forms available to keep things simple. For example, click on the account table. Then select Account Form. The different forms can be accessed through the drop-down at the top of the page. All forms will be available by default. To select specific forms, click on Add Form. Then select the forms to be displayed. In this instance, we are only showing the account main form. Select Views. To show or hide views, click on Account View. Then select Add View. Select the required view from the list, for example, Active Accounts Public View. Inactive Accounts Public View. Or All Accounts Public View. Save and publish. Save the changes. Then publish them. Open a new account form. Only the main account form is now available. We can navigate to the Accounts view. Open the Select a View menu. Only the views that were checked will be displayed.
Okay, and that's the first part of the session.
Lovely, thanks, John. I've had a message from one of our attendees that unfortunately the chat window isn't showing on this session, so apologies if that's the case. I did a dry run and it appeared to all be working absolutely fine, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there, and I can't unfortunately find a way to reactivate it. So we'll kick on with the second session. At the end of this, I will share a slide with our email addresses. Of course, you have my contact details that were sent across in the invite for this session as well. So if you hang on to any questions that you might have, send those over via email. As I mentioned at the beginning of the call, you'll be getting the recording of this and access to the portal, of the video and the information that Jonathan's just shared. So, John, I'll pass back to you to kick on with the second half.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next part takes what we've already looked at in terms of building the basic form. And now it's more about organizing that form to suit your business needs. So adding in additional information, additional areas, renaming, moving things about. So these are sort of the next steps in what you would potentially do when you're building this model-driven app. Okay, so if we go into
Adding to your app. Model-driven app design is an approach. Changing table names. Model-driven apps are especially well suited to process-driven apps that are data-dense and make it easy for users to move between related records. For example, if you are building an app to manage a complex process, such as onboarding new employees, managing a sales process, or member relationships in an organization such as a bank, a model-driven app is a great choice. Once you have set up the basics, you can further structure your app according to your business need. We started changing table names by selecting a table. On the right of the screen in the display options, we can amend details, including changing the name of tables we have added. You can also change the name of the group the tables sit in by selecting the group and changing the group name. Then click on Save to apply the changes. Add new group and move pages. To add a new group, click on navigation bar. Click on Add. Then click on Group. Click on the title field. Then enter a title. Click on Save to apply the changes. Tables can be moved within a group or between groups by clicking on the ellipsis for the table. Click on Move Up or Move Down. To move the table's position again, repeat the process. Or move another table. Add a new page to the group. Additional pages can be added to the group. Click on Add and then Add Page. Select Dataverse Tables. Then click on Next. Select the table to add. Ensure the tick box, Show in Navigation, is checked, then click on Add. Enabling, renaming and adding areas. Enabling areas. To enable the addition of areas, select Navigation. You will see the navigation bar side pane. Check the box for Enable Collapsible Groups. Then click on Enable Areas. Renaming an area. To rename an area, start by selecting the area. Enter a new title. Then save the change. Add a new area with groups and pages. Click on the Add button. Then select Area. Click on the title field. Give the area a title. Save the change. Now click on Add again. Select Group. Select the title field. Add a title. Then click on Save. Now click on Pages. Then select Add Page. Before clicking Next, click on either Dataverse Table or Dashboard. In this example, we can choose from a list of system dashboards. Check the box next to the dashboards which are to be displayed. These will then be made available in the app. Click on Add. Save and publish. Ensure all your changes are saved. Publish your changes by clicking on the button next to Save. You can then view your changes. The Change Area menu shows the two areas you created. You can use it to switch between your dashboards area and your customers area. You can see the two groups you created, company and contacts. Workload. You can make further changes using any of the outlined steps.
Okay, there we go. So hopefully that gives you some ideas about how to create some basic structure within your app and how to manipulate things like the names and positions of things within that structure. Okay, back to you,
Brilliant.
Steve.
Thank you very much, John. That's excellent. My colleague Oliver Wollaston, who I introduced earlier on in the call, had a few comments on this actually. So I'm going to pass across to him right now.
Brilliant, thanks, Steve. So as we saw there, that's the process of creating your model-driven apps. But of course, we're well aware that as your business grows, as you use these processes, you'll want to refine them, grow them, change them, maybe create more. And that's the beauty of these model-driven apps, is that you can add whatever process you need to it. The concept is to keep one business process per application. That way you keep it efficient so that your users are only seeing what they need to see for that particular process. And you keep refining it to include new views that people need, so they don't have all the extra gump that they might have had if you had the entire sitemap there, for example. There's some terminology that many of you will be getting used to already in terms of calling an entity a table instead. And a record is now a row. That didn't particularly come up here, but just remember that as we're moving across to the Power Apps side of things, there is a new set of terminology that Microsoft are using, kind of going back to the whole spreadsheet way of calling it tables and rows and columns. Columns obviously being the fields, whereas if you are used to in any way, shape or form the old classic interface, you'll remember they were fields and entities. So it's just remember that there is that new terminology. If you get stuck on any of that and you don't understand what it is, or you can't quite remember, obviously we're here to help at any point. I know many of you have started using Power BI a lot more. You may have seen on the dashboard bit, there is the opportunity to include Power BI dashboards. So it's becoming a lot easier to integrate this sort of thing as well. So there's a lot more to expand on. What you've seen today is simply as it is described, an introduction to the model-driven apps. Don't forget to ask us for more if you've got more that you feel like you can include into it, and we can help you work that out.
Brilliant stuff. Ollie, thank you very much. Yeah, once again, apologies for the lack of Q&A or chat functionality in this call. But as I mentioned on the screen now, myself, John and Ollie are absolutely available via email, exactly as Ollie just mentioned, to expand on anything that you've seen. Of course, John is more than happy, as he quite rightly pointed out, to talk about anything ClickLearn related or Power App wise as well. So on that note, we will thank you very, very much for attending this morning. Keep an eye out for an email from us that will contain a link to the recording for this session, and also a link to the portal of the content that you just saw. So all that remains me to do is wish you all a fantastic holiday period, a brilliant new year, and we look forward to seeing you all again in 2023. Thanks a lot.